Welcome to a self-published author's diary. My name is Elodie Novodatsky and I have been self-publishing since 2014. I will be sharing my ups and downs and the behind the scenes of this wild adventure. Thank you for listening. Hi, and welcome back to a self-published author's diary. If you are a regular listener, I'm back. And if you're a new listener, hello and welcome. In this podcast, I share the ups and downs of self-publishing. And today I'm going to start a mini-series on starting my subscription with Ream. But first, here are the ups and downs of my self-publishing in the past 2 weeks. So up, Most Eligible Scrooge has been selected for a top indie favorites, which was previously B&N Press Presents, so on Barnes & Noble. And it will start on December 5th and it will be featured until February 5th. And I cannot wait to tell you how it goes. I'm super excited about it. I had a few Barnes & Noble promotions that I got accepted into, a few that got declined. The last one that I got accepted for was for the Nook Prize promo, Fear Me, Fear Me Not, for the book Fear Me, Fear Me Not. And it went very well. It moved quite a few books. So looking forward to that. The down is I got rejected for a BookBub deal for Sweets for Love, which I am putting for free for the month of December. And unfortunately, BookBub didn't want it. Up, Most Eligible Scrooge has been my best release in English by far in terms of sales. Down, it's starting to slow down, especially on Amazon, which is one of the reasons I want to start a subscription, and I'll get into it into a future episode. But there's an up. I've been selling more books on Barnes & Noble. Now that I'm actually direct with them, and again, I got into some promos, but not for that book yet. That one, again, will start on December 5th. So thanks to Erin Wright for the class I took with her, and she encouraged me to go direct with Barnes & Noble, and it's been good. It's not like hundreds of sales, but it is trickling in, and I had 17 pre-orders for Most Eligible Scrooge on Barnes & Noble, which was very good for me. Up, I sold my first book on my TikTok shop, which I created on a whim. Down, I sold only one book on my TikTok shop, and both can be true at once. But honestly, since I've done maybe 4 videos for that particular account since I started the shop and have no expectations on that, the up wins for sure. And now, as I promised, here's the first episode on starting my subscription with Ream. It's basically why Ream and how I got it, how I got started into it, and how I got my first followers on my page. If you'd like to check out my page, it is www.reamstories.com-Elodie, and Elodie is spelled Elodie. So this mini-series podcast, so to speak, has probably been inspired by the fact that I am a top 7% listener of Subscription for Authors podcast based on some data. And if you're here because you're thinking about starting a subscription, I really recommend their podcast. They don't only talk about Ream, they also go through Patreon and Substack and other ways to start subscription as an author. And grab a coffee or tea or some water or continue walking or whatever task you're doing while you're listening to me. And let me tell you how I got started with Ream. I'm going to officially launch my subscription in the coming weeks, so you'll be right with me behind the scenes. And each episode in this sort of mini-series will be 10 to 15 minutes. First of all, what is Ream? As per their website, the subscription platform by fiction authors for fiction authors, the platform allows writers to build communities around their stories and charge a monthly fee that rewards your readers with early access to your stories, bonus content, access to new stories, and your backlist, and even perks like signed books and merchandise. Basically, you choose what you want for different tiers. That's me talking, not their website. And in addition, they now have a follower possibility. So the followers do not have to enter any payment information, and you can still give your followers content, whatever content you choose. So I'll start how I started using Ream, knowing that I'm planning to use the same Ream page for my 3 worlds, which are steamy rom-coms, romantic thrillers. The hit level on that one is like the door is cracked open, so it's definitely not as steamy as my rom-coms. You don't get to see a lot of things. And angsty ballet romance. So for those ones, in terms of hit level, you can peek in, but you don't see much. I mean, still they're swoony, but again, they're not very detailed in their steaminess and spiciness. So talking about steamy and spicy, I actually signed up for a Ream account with my pen name first. I write steamy forbidden romance, on Kindle Vella, and serialized fiction seemed like a good plan to do early access or different point of views. Those stories on Kindle Vella do very well for me in terms of bonus and in terms of ranking. One of my stories is again ranked in the top 250. It's actually ranked in the top 150, and it was ranked in the top 100 for a few weeks. So that I definitely have an audience who is used to getting serialized, so like episodes or chapters, not all the entire book at once. So in terms of format, I thought maybe that would be the best way to start. But my Kindle Vella is set up in such a way that I don't necessarily, I don't have a lot of content planned ahead, because my drafting works in such a way that juggling different projects really works for me. While I work on one Vella story, my mind may think about the other Vella stories that I'm currently working on, or one of my Elodie Novodatsky books, and I get to make progress on all of them. So if you are part of the Write Better Faster, Becca Symes Patreon, and you know about your Gallup strength, I have number 1 achiever and number 9 arranger in the Gallup's Clifton strength, and for me that means I love getting things done and posting episodes on Vella, like getting that I achieved something. It's not just the entire process of writing the book, but I published something, is really giving me, I think, a rush of endorphins, and I enjoy it. And working on different stories is kind of my ideal multitasking. However, again, doing it for my pen name, so going on to a subscription for my pen name, seemed like it would add too much pressure. So my goal is to only work on one Vella story at a time next year, to free up time to work on my other Elodie Novodatsky stories. And that's where I don't want to use Kindle Vella for my Elodie Novodatsky stories, because A, Kindle Vella is restricted to the US right now. B, I am a white author for my Elodie Novodatsky books, and I don't want my readers to only be on Kindle Vella. I could do Kindle Vella in a subscription, but it seems like too much for me at this time. So I just want to focus on my subscription for Elodie Novodatsky, which also propels me forward in the books I'm writing. So it's a win-win situation for me. And I think it's a win-win situation for the readers, because it's very reader-oriented. So I ended up starting to use Ream because of their social reader e-reader app. I really wanted to offer an annotated advance review copy of my latest steamy rom-com, Most Eligible Scrooge, to my readers. I love doing the annotated, talking to my readers, connecting with them, and replying to comments. And I had been listening to the Subscription for Authors podcast after, I think, hearing them on another podcast and then finding them interesting, especially with the rise of direct sales for authors. So a little side note, it feels like podcasting is a little bit like getting your books in front of readers. Hearing about how great they are, even from like somebody else, really helps too, because somebody was also talking on another podcast about how interesting everything was, and it really is. So I started doing the annotated advance review copy on Google Docs, but it was kind of cumbersome. The entire process was not really working as well for people who didn't have a Gmail account. I had to invite them. They had to accept within a certain period of time. Nobody was commenting, and it wasn't super easy. At that stage, I had about 50 advance readers that I had found both from my newsletter, my Facebook groups, and TikTok videos. And also on Facebook, my posts weren't really seen. So like I have a Facebook reader group, but I also have a Facebook advanced reader group for my different books. And just with my main Facebook reader group, only like, I don't know, 5%, not even. I think it was 3% was seeing, like they were seeing only my posts, 3% of them. I know it's the algorithm. I know it's me not posting regularly enough for the algorithm to love me, but it's also me having a complicated relationship with social media. Again, if we go back to Gallup Strength, I think it comes from my relator. It's like number 12. Not the point. I do love connecting with readers, but social media doesn't seem to be my forte for my books. I mean, not on TikTok, because I do a lot of like, I know scenarios. I can come up with scenarios and I can make, I have, my books are good, so I can find, I think so. So I can find ways to talk about them, but like via page flips or via photos on TikTok. I can talk about self-publishing all day long on TikTok as myself, because it's a topic that I feel like, even though I don't consider myself like an expert. I love sharing my ups and downs like I do on this podcast. So on social media, like my Facebook group, it's very much like, do I talk too much about my books? I do love connecting with readers, as I said, but like, do I share enough excerpts? Not enough, too much. And I want to be engaging, but I don't want to like force an engagement in a way. So it's a lot. And the community on Ream and my newsletter feels more authentic for me, not to me. Like I do go on social media and actually engage sometimes with people there, but to me, for me, my newsletter and my community on Ream just feels almost easier in a way for me to connect with my readers. So posting my e-arc on Ream was so much fun. I think at the time I had 12 followers, counting my husband who did not sign up himself. I signed him up so I could see what was going on. Thank you again, dear husband. And a few other friends who were also following me. So maybe 25% of my advanced readers signed up, and I got comments. And if you're one of my readers listening to this, thank you so much. It was so much fun to read readers' reactions and being able to comment back. I absolutely loved it. And I know it's not for everybody, because the annotated review copy that they got to see was not yet completely edited. So it was like a stage before the official e-arc, if you wish. And I know some readers do not want to do that, and that's totally fine. Like some readers also will not want to see early chapters or see things that have not gone through the rigorous process that a book goes through before it is published. On my side, I really do. I loved it. I loved just seeing the notification, commenting back, having this kind of closer communication a little bit about my characters and things. And I actually changed one of the things in the books. I actually changed two things based on comments that I received as they were reading, which I don't know. I found that very fun, uplifting, and just, yeah, it was a great experience. So now that I had followers on the platform, I thought, well, maybe I could actually launch a subscription. Because before that, I was kind of like, oh, I'm just going to use the follower part of the platform, and this is the way I'm going to communicate with some of my review team, and this is what. But then I was kind of like, I do enjoy sharing those episodes on Kindle Vella, and it actually helps me write. It doesn't necessarily change the process, because part of my process, sometimes I have to think about some stories for quite a long time. But as I said, when I'm writing on a story, the back of my mind sometimes is busy thinking about another story. And then I can like figure out plot points as I'm making progress on one story, if that makes sense. And so I started thinking about what I could offer, the price points of what I could offer, how I could maybe start getting more followers to read some of the early chapters that I was working on, so without having a membership yet. And this is what I'll talk about in the next episodes. And again, if you want to check out my page, don't hesitate. It's reamstories.com/Elodie. And I really hope this is helpful. I'm doing this subscription because I think like seeing sometimes the behind the scenes and the thought process and ideas that may or may not work for somebody, or it can also spark new ideas for you. And that's also, I think, another win-win situation in a way. So to all readers out there, happy reading. And to everyone, no, that's not it. Let me try again. To all writers out there, happy writing. And to everyone, happy reading. I almost got that part, but I thought, why not leave it on? Bye.